Hey, my name is Anna. I'm head coach at Leveraged, and today with me for Success Interview, I have Angel. Hey, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about you and your trading story.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angel. I'm one of the founder traders for the Leverage Proper. And basically, I've been trading from 2017, but it's not really like consecutive progress. So basically, I started trading in demo accounts 2017 for 6 months
Mhm.
till a year. And then after that, I stepped into my personal accounts. My life accounts started in 2018, but it's not really like a consecutive because I really had to switch between my daily job and trading. So it's more like
Mhm.
on and off. And I wasn't as profitable as I am right now. So basically, I blew one account to another. So it's more like
Mm.
intermittent process. But basically, I started in 2017 for the demo and 2018 for the live account.
Okay, that's actually quite quick switch, from demo account to a live account, and you said like on and off. So basically, if I do my math right, so it's more than 8 years you trading, which is great, a lot of experience. So I think I can now call you, you're not a baby anymore in trading for sure. You have some good experience.
Yeah.
I'm really curious every time when traders are saying, their trading journey. When did you notice that profitability, or at least that period where you were not losing anymore? Like, how long did it take you? Do you remember that?
It took actually quite a while, maybe fifth year or fourth year, because
Okay.
sometimes you hit a big profit, but the most challenging part is that you really have to make it consistent. So like you reach the
Mhm.
peak and then you went back down again. So that's actually the
Mhm.
challenge. But basically, I started to earn profit like fifth or fourth year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good because for me, it was almost similar. And I think it's also because I traded over 10 years ago, I started. And I don't know if you can agree with this, but I am very confident to say this. When we traded, so when you and me started like 2017, 2018, there was not
Mhm.
so much available information. So I think it was harder to get to that profitability because there was not a lot of information available. As like today, you go to YouTube or X or
Yeah.
Instagram or good old chat GTP, and you can ask so many
Yeah.
questions and it's going to give you those answers. So I think, it's fair to say that, for us, it took longer because we just didn't have that available information and it was just
Mhm.
not so accessible as it is right now. But I'm so happy to hear that you got profitable and that you went through, those 5 years. And I do want to talk about that. So I'm sorry for bringing maybe back old memories. Can
That's
you
fine.
please maybe share like what was the hardest part for you to reach that profitability? What did you struggle the most within those 4 or 5 years when you were trying to be consistent and profitable trader?
So basically, because yeah, every trader they have like a different journey, right, for each of us.
For
But
sure.
for me personally, because I really had to switch between my daily job and
Hmm.
my life as a trader, so it's basically sometimes I really had to split my screen because for me personally, it's not emotionally healthy if you really like have like one source of income, at least in the beginning, because you don't have that safety net, to catch when you
Hmm.
fall. We don't know
Yeah.
like how much effort that you really have to put in until you become very profitable, right? So that's
Hmm.
actually the challenge. And basically, it's more about what people say about your job because not a lot of people they really understand about trading. Like a lot of time
Hmm.
they think that it's simply just gambling, but basically we as trader we know that how much effort that we actually have to put in, and
Hmm.
it really gives you like it's more like a lone wolf personality, like if you are a trader, so basically it's just you and yourself and against the market. And because there are not a lot of people, we understand about this job, basically you just have to rely on yourself. And when you really hit that throwdown, deep throwdown, sometimes you just didn't know how to say that and you didn't have like a circle that support that, so you really have
Yeah.
to, yeah, you really have to rely on yourself. That's I think like what's the worst part that I've experienced so far. And because people sometimes just didn't get it. When you use like a lot of your money, just for something that they thought just like it's just useless. It's just a waste of time. So yeah, something like that.
Okay. Oh, that brings some memories for sure. That brings some, I want to even almost like say trauma, it brings my trauma back from my early trading days. But I think, you know what, to be fair, I've spoken with many traders and a lot of
Mhm.
traders go through exactly what you explained here. And I think it's just, part of that journey. So talking about your journey moving forward, so maybe
Mhm.
you can share a little bit more on what is it that you trade, like what kind of trader you are, what kind of assets do you trade, and maybe just overall your trading style.
So my basically my trading style is I am more into day trading. So I try my best not to have like any floating positions, not until the rollover. So just before the rollover, I have to close all my
Mm-hmm.
positions. And I think my style is just I focus more on the risk management. So I cap my risk per trade. So it's around like 0.55% to 0.65 per trade, and I cap my daily loss at 1% a day. And
Okay.
if there's volatility or slippage, maybe 1.2 or 1.1 tops.
Okay.
And after that, just to filter out the noise, I'm just going to wait for the candlestick, and on H1 time frame to close. So basically, I'm not going to be really, just to reduce my screen time.
Yeah.
And I trade forex currencies.
Okay, so intraday trader, forex currency. So, what would be your favorite asset to trade? Like, what is your favorite? Or maybe you don't have favorite, but if maybe you do. So, can you share more? Because I want to know, like, is it Euro USD or pound yen? Like, what is your currency to go to?
So about the pairs, I don't really. Maybe anyone has heard of what is that? Asset agnostic. So I don't really care which pair that I really take like a day. But basically, as long as the setup has already confirmed that
Okay.
it's there on the pair, then I'm just going to take that. So basically, just take the most probable trade because I don't want to waste time with something that not worth taking basically. So I
Mhm.
don't really want to limit myself on this like specific trade, but as long as I think that like it has reflected my setup clearly, then I'm just going to take
Mhm.
that pair. So that's
Oh,
simple.
okay. Do you think that, charts are charts? We can see gold chart, we can see commodities like oil or silver or forex pair. Do you think it matters what kind of asset do you trade? Or do you think as long as it does what I see, like based on my setup, because what you explained here, right? So if your setup is met, then you will take it anyway. So do you think then asset really matters, or you can trade anything as long as your setup is met, like whatever you're looking for in the market and break of structure or retest, whatever it is, but as long as it's like met, you can trade any pair, any asset. Would that be correct?
Okay. So I don't really want to go deeper into stock trading because I've never
Okay.
traded stock before. So just currencies.
Same.
But basically, for me personally, the trading itself is not just about predicting, but it's also
Mhm.
about like the distribution of probabilities. So you just have to get that mathematical age as long as it happens frequently and it can be applied universally, and you can actually like grab the momentums right after the price tells you so. So basically, you
Mhm.
can apply that across all trades. So, I mean, all pairs. So it doesn't
Okay.
really matter about which pair that you really want to take, as long that you know that you have backtested it, that your mathematical age has proven that it's going to cost you or gives you like a positive expectancy. I don't think that you should have like any favorites. So you can apply that across like, all pairs. Yeah.
Okay, I do agree. I do. So I want to ask you a question. So do
Mm.
you consider yourself more as a data-driven trader or more like you trade with your experience? So it's like, because you have so many years of experience and it's like some traders call it like a gut feeling, right? So they won't really collect the data, but they will just go to the charts, they will see the setup and they're like, I just know this is my setup. So it's like I don't need to have any data or anything like that. So how would you say, are you more like data driven trader
Mhm.
or you're more like a gut feeling trader? Because obviously you have a lot of experience, right? So I'm just curious on that. Really, really curious.
So thank you for the question. I think it's just like never ending debate. Yeah. So some traders they say that it's more instinctive. You have to
Hmm.
speculate about the directions. But for me personally, if you're more into technical perspective, then it's better for you to see that, as I said, it's just about the calculations of probabilities.
Mhm.
So instead of just merely like speculating about the direction, instinctive, it's more objective. But the
Mhm.
thing that I really want to point out here is that if you want to calculate the mathematical age, you really have to get a consistent system, because if you constantly like hop from one what is that one setup, I mean like one system to another,
Yeah.
what's the statistic is not going to build the number. It's not going to reflect like the true number, and you cannot build a robust system that you can apply across a lot of pairs. So, but for me
Mhm.
personally, like I prefer trades based on data and based on the
Mhm.
statistic instead of just like the directions. It's more like the probabilities and its distributions. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I am like
Mhm.
you. I for sure also choose the data. It's just, it's like I always say we need to be consistent data-driven traders. And what you said there is I think so many traders actually fail because they don't stick long enough to that
Yep.
one proven thing that they're doing. It's like they're not collecting enough data on that. They kind of give up too early. And to be
Mhm.
fair, I think like we shared, like you shared why it took you so a long time. And I think actually for me, that was the reason it took me such a long time to get to that profitability, because I would give up too quickly, like too
Yeah.
fast. I would not
Yeah.
put enough work in and not put enough the data, like take out the data from the market. And that's what I failed, because I would chase something else. And
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
like a strategy hopping thing. We see so many
Yes.
traders just swap strategies and don't stick to one. So I'm so happy to hear that you have found what works for you and you're sticking to it. Right, Angel, I would like to ask you also about your experience overall with leveraged. And, I would like to know, where did you find out about leveraged?
Actually, it's just an accident. I mean, like because basically, I read a lot, right, about trading, and the algorithm sometimes is going to show up. But one thing that really intrigued me the most is that because there's a like risk free, like entry, and then
Yeah.
the thing that I saw that exactly was that this firm, it has shown like a good gesture, because they actually have given like opportunity for traders to actually show what they have first. So that's why I'm
Mhm.
finally decided to join. But it's just my first time. But I think that it's really worth taking, because the good gesture that they have shown, at least they know what traders feels. They really want to be given opportunity, And a lot of traders, we don't pass the challenge. A lot of them don't pass the challenge because they're just too
Yes.
afraid about the fees. But this sperm is just different. Basically, that's what I'm thinking about. That I was thinking about that time, so I took the change.
Okay, so you took the turbo program, which is what you're saying is 888 is the fee that you pay, and then only when you pass, then you need to pay your activation fee. And it's for sure what you're saying, it gives opportunity to traders. And I think,
Mhm.
maybe for yourself as well, did you find that it was easier to trade because you didn't feel that financial pressure as well? Because like you said, you didn't need to pay that hefty fee in front, but you had the opportunity to pay it after once you reached. Do you think it helped maybe your trading psychology when you were taking the simulation account?
Obviously, yes, because actually this is my first time trading with a firm. So
Hmm.
basically, like at least I know that I'm not going to invest like too much. I have my skills, so I can really show that I have more opportunity to do that. And from emotional perspective, of course, that it really helps me, because I was a bit skeptical at first, but because there's like this kind of different opportunity, then I decided that it's worth taking, because it's actually like healthier for my mind, so yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard it so many times traders say exactly this, that it's just that small fee gives them opportunity to actually trade less stressful, right? And then reach that profit target.
Mhm.
Okay, so obviously, this is also another question I asked all the time for traders for trading turbo. And on the funded account, there is a consistency rule. And I would
Mm.
like to ask, how did you find trading with consistency rule? Because it's 20% consistency, which means you cannot have overall profits, like
Yeah.
one profitable day cannot be bigger than 20% of overall profit. So, Angel, maybe you can share, how did you find trading with that consistency? Was it hard? Did you struggle? Or, what's your experience with that?
Actually, I don't struggle at all, because it's just my style to cap my profit. And I think like by applying this consistency score, it's actually like a great way to build a discipline, because
Mhm.
it's not about getting out quick, but you really have to cap your profit as well, because you're going to fall into greed trap. There will be a spike, and then late cycle reversal, when the price is
Yes.
suddenly it just
Mhm.
goes down. So actually, like that, instead of just making it more difficult for us to reach profit, it is to protect your capital. So I really
Mhm.
agree with that instance, and it builds my discipline. Yeah.
Okay. And you know what?
Mhm.
This is actually the answer that we get the most is that actually consistency has helped traders to trade
Yeah.
better. And it kind of does make sense, right? It does, because it just pushes you to be more consistent. Okay. And I would like to ask also about your payout experience. How was the payout experience overall? Did you find it easy? Was it easy process overall?
It's really easy. So it's amazing. So basically, they process that in around like 24 hours. And then because it's wire transfer, it had reached my bank account in just 24 hours. So basically, like 48 hours total. So that's just great.
Okay, this is really good to hear. I think as a traders, there's a saying that we always have to pay ourselves, right? And then, especially I think as a trading, that's first milestone because you said, this is your first time trading with us. And if I can ask, was there anything special that you did with your commission? Did you treat yourself, or maybe you were, maybe you did decide to put it in the, trading account. So what did you do with a commission that you got paid with leverage?
Maybe honestly speaking, one of my greatest motivation is just my intention to accumulate money is just to distribute that. So it's more like philanthropic mission. I just want to help people. So maybe I'm just going to give some part of that for God because I'm Christian. So I think it's for the gospel and philanthropic missions. And it just basically it's just one of the fuel that keeps me moving. So I will treat myself, but it's not just my money; it's God's money. So everyone will take part of that. So I'm just going to give some for people, like just help God's kingdom. So basically, that's it.
That's so beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. That's personal, but thank you for sharing that. And just to finish this off, there's always this question that I ask. Angel, if you could give advice or suggestion, or maybe try to inspire someone who's
Mhm.
trading, and especially like in their beginning stages of trading, what is it that you would tell them or advise them? Like, how would you, talk to them, or what is it that you would like to say? And I know this is a huge, huge thing to think about, but if you could just, suggest something to a trader who's starting out, what would you tell them?
What I'm saying is that maybe it's more a holistic approach. You have to get the posture of your heart first. So you have to get a correct posture of your heart because basically trading is going to reveal a lot of things about you that you didn't even know you had. Your greed, your fear, your arrogance. So basically just use that as a tool, not just to build your capital, but build you as a better person. So for me personally, I'm a believer. I want to be more like God, like have the wisdom that is not just about money oriented. Because if you just money oriented and you don't have that special fuel to keep you moving, you're just going to breach your account, because your motivation is not strong enough. Basically, if you have a good and correct posture of your heart, when you enter into the territory where you really want to build something technical, it's going to be easier. Because a lot of traders they have a stellar accuracy level, but they're basically just going to breach their account because they don't have any emotional capacity. So you start with hard first, and then you take care of anything technical. That's just my suggestions. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful suggestion. And I do agree with that. I really do. And I've seen it also from my journey, how much it changed when I actually started to notice my triggers, what triggers my emotions, why am I
Yeah.
emotional, where does the greed comes from, like it's trading, I say trading is going to show your true colors, like really your
Yes.
true colors. So, and I've learned that through my journey, and I've heard traders say the same thing. But Angel, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time today, and to spend these, this time with me in the success interview. And I hope that traders will take inspiration from you. And I wish you all the best. Please have more payouts with us, and maybe more success interviews with us as well. So I wish you all the
Thank
best,
you,
and
and
thank you so much for your time. Thank you,
thank
Angel.
you so much for your time. Bye bye.